Guys, Alex Golesh flipped a bear.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. So many things happened today. I just couldn't wait till tomorrow and wanted to address several things that happened for the Auburn Tigers today. Good, bad, maybe not bad, just noteworthy, I guess. We'll talk about Auburn's newest tight ends coach, which just quick glance at the resume, yeah, makes total sense. Also, we had another guy enter the portal. I guess we've had two, one more impactful than the other. But let's start with the biggest news of the day, the most impactful news of the day. Bear McWhorter, he was committed to Michigan. If you've been living under a rock, Google what has happened to Michigan over the last week. Goodness gracious. Absolutely absurd. The more details come out, the more mind-blowing it gets. Bear McWhorter's like, yeah, I don't want to go to Ann Arbor. No thanks. No thanks. And this is a guy that both, Auburn, several SEC teams were really, really pursuing from the state of Georgia, Alabama. They picked up a crystal ball during his prediction, but Bear McWhorter is he's going to be an Auburn Tiger, which is a big, big deal. He's a 3-star according to 247. I don't care. I don't care. The tape. This is a guy that everyone in the SEC wanted, and that's everything that I need to know. Look at the offer list for interior offensive linemen. I don't care what your star ranking is. I just don't. I think this is a guy. His name's Bear, for goodness sake. Now, when you look at his tape, the guy mauls people. I've got it playing right here. He just pancaked a guy. Looks like he's lining up at tackle on several of these plays. So just a guy that I think is going to have a path and a chance to be a starter eventually. Also, I love the attention by Alex Golesh and the staff to be aware of the situation and to know, like, hey, this is a guy who had some interest in Auburn during the recruiting process and saw what was happening to the school that he thought he was going to and said, hey, whatever. Don't go to Michigan. Come be an Auburn Tiger. Your name's Bear. Be a Tiger. And he's like, okay, cool. So I love how all over it they were. And I think this is a big win. I think this is a big win for Alex Golesh and this coaching staff. Very, very cool. Let's stay on the topic of offensive line. Shall we? Do y'all mind? I don't think y'all mind. However, like, this news, I don't think is great. I don't think it's bad, but noteworthy. Seth Wilfred reportedly planning to enter the portal when it opens on January 2nd. Somebody's asking what position. I'm assuming for Bear McWhorter, he's projected to be an interior offensive lineman, but looking at his tape, looks like he played some tackle as well. So offensive line, which is great. All right, so Seth Wilfred, a guy who we heard good things about, but this is another one of those guys who had been kind of flirting with the 2 deep and had potential in this offensive line room, and that we all kind of assume could take that next step forward when it comes to playing time, because Auburn's losing so many guys that started and played so many games and snaps over their time at Auburn. Like, I think DeAndre Carter has higher upside than Seth Wilfred. Don't get me wrong, but Seth Wilfred would have been on that list of guys where it's like, yeah, I'm not picking Seth Wilfred to start next year, assuming if he would have stayed. But I would say that he would have had a chance, I think, to vie and battle for a spot, but obviously that won't happen. So Seth Wilfred entering the portal, and this would not shock me if this was a Alex Golesh and his staff getting together and saying like, yeah, I don't know if this one really makes a ton of sense to keep for whatever they were paying him. So there we go. So Seth Wilfred is one. And then I saw somewhere else, I believe someone else reported that Cameron King is entering the portal. It's not on this list that On3 has pulled up. So let me confirm that. Let me confirm that. I'm not seeing it on a quick Google search, but I don't know how many people would write a story on that. So let's see. Cameron King. Yes. Yeah, he shared it on his Instagram. So Cameron King is another one. I mean, I think technically scholarship. Didn't he get a scholarship going into fall camp when that one of the cool, like, you got a scholarship videos? So yeah, there we go. There we go. So there's two more that entered the portal. None of those really impactful. I still think the guys that I'm a little surprised that have entered, the one I'm most surprised with is still DeAndre Carter. Talked to a few people about, like, was he in playing shape? But then my pushback to that is like, well, it's, December and he wasn't playing. But if that's a concern, I don't think this coaching staff's going to put up with that, which is good. So there we go. So two guys in the portal today, Seth Wilfred, Cameron King, and now, I mean, that's several offensive linemen now that have entered the portal. So that will enter the portal. Seth Wilfred, DeAndre Carter, Favor Edwin. Okay, I guess that's it for offensive line. But I expect more. I also expect more receivers. So those are going to be two positions that they're going to have to absolutely revamp in the portal, which is fine. I think they'll be able to do it. The key thing here is evaluation. I don't think Alex Golesh and his staff are going to be the guys that go, okay, who's number one, who's number two at whatever respective position in the portal rankings and go get them. I think they're going to look for scheme fit. Scheme fit is when I'm talking to some of these players that have, like, talked with Alex Golesh and some of these guys close to the situation, scheme fit comes up all the time, much more with these guys, at least small sample size early on, than it did with the previous guys. So take that for what it's worth. RSK in the chat says, I trust Golesh until he proves otherwise. I think that's fair. Now, we can still be sad if certain guys leave if we think they could fit in the system. We all have the right to our opinions. That's why we all love sports so much. But I'm with you. Golesh's track record, though it's a small sample size and a short resume, every line on it is important and impressive. So there we go. As far as Auburn's latest position coach hire, early impression, I'm a big fan. Let's jump into that, and I'll tackle some of y'all's questions as well. That's next, right here on this special impromptu live edition of Locked on Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Omaha Steaks. OmahaSteaks.com is where you can go. The holidays are here. And look, everybody loves meat in the box, my friends. In fact, Omaha Steaks, I got my parents a box. Showed up at their door today because I'm a loving son. The calls I got, they're blown away. Like, we have food for weeks. Yeah, it's delicious. It's Omaha Steaks. It's the highest quality meat. And they're like, why did you do this? I'm like, well, one, I was in the giving mood. It's a Merry Christmas, early Christmas gift. But also, like, with this deal that they've got going, it's pretty cost effective. You can save big on gourmet gifts and holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for an extra $35 off and use code COLLEGE at checkout. I used it. I know it works. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus. These guys are the best place to go whenever you need a new vehicle, whether it's for you, a family member, a loved one. I don't care. If you need a car in the Auburn, Opelika area, the Atlanta area, anywhere in that Alabama, Georgia, Southeast, take the drive to Columbus. Go see our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus, right off of Whittlesey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia. Mention, hey, I heard you guys on Locked on Auburn. Heard you take care of your folks. They'll say, yes, absolutely. And also, you'll save $500 off of any new Kia purchase. And of course, with Kia, tires for life for those purchases as well. So Go check them out, KiaAutosportColumbus.com, or right off of Wilsey Boulevard in Columbus, Georgia. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for hanging out on this impromptu live edition. Got some somewhat breaking news. This was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me. I'm like, man, I want to go live to talk about Bear McWhorter and a few of our transfer losses today. And this is like, yeah, we're going live, baby. Auburn hiring Larry Scott as its tight ends coach. Okay, who's Larry Scott? Well, he was at Howard, which is not the name of your buddy Howard that you call Howie for short. Now, this is very prestigious university. But what stands out to me is he was at Florida prior to that. And if you can kind of do the math, you're like, oh, he coached Kyle Pitts, one of the more electric tight ends in the SEC in recent memory. And I think this is important, one, because the tight end room is one that we're going to have to rebuild pretty quickly. Just a quick reminder, as of right now, the two tight ends that are on scholarship on this roster, Preston Howard, which we all have, said our things about. We'll see if this fresh start helps him if he chooses to stay here. And then Ryan G., who you all know I'm a big fan of. He's a friend of the show. Massive, massive fan for Ryan G. And everyone you talk to who is covered in Alex Golesh offense, whether it's at USF, whether it's at Tennessee, whether it's talking to folks who covered him way back when he and Heupel were at UCF, the first thing they talk about is pace. The second thing they talk about, these things are related, is how they use the tight end. With pace, you want to keep the same personnel on the field. And the way you do that by being able to stay versatile and move positions around and really keep the defense on its toes, on its heels, is to have a tight end that on one play can be a big slot. Another play, maybe you have them flexed out. On another play, maybe you have them in an H-back. On another play, maybe you have them attached at the line. The tight end's a versatile position. It's a versatile position when used effectively. And that has been a massive, massive part of Alex Golesh offenses, whether at Tennessee, USF, or way back when at UCF when he was under Josh Heupel. And to me, this was always going to be an intriguing hire because he's kind of known as a tight ends guy, not only with how it fits in his scheme, but it sounds like he gets pretty involved with coaching this position. And so I think Larry Scott makes a ton of sense. Larry Scott also has been offensive coordinator at Tennessee, and he was also a tight ends coach at Miami. So this is a guy who's used to competing in the SEC. He's used to recruiting in the SEC, and he's used to competing against the best of the best, both on and off the field. And so I think this makes sense. Just in a vacuum, it makes sense. And then when you look at it in context, it makes a ton of sense just because Alex Golesh relies on the tight end to kind of keep that pace and stay versatile formationally when they choose to run tempo. So that's exciting. That's exciting. And look, Larry Scott's going to have his hands full. I think you've got two guys that can work. Obviously, Walker Howard, he's got to get out of his head. Excuse me, Preston Howard. Preston Howard, he's got to get out of his head. Like, clearly the drops early in the season derailed him. There's no way his hands are that bad because of what we saw at Maryland. It would make sense for him to desire a fresh start. It would also make sense for him to look and see what Alex Golesh does and how Alex Golesh looked at the tight end room and said, I don't have a ton of options here day one. I would like some of you guys to stay on the roster. I think you could say the same with Ryan G. So take that for what it's worth. But Larry Scott, he's going to have to add two guys, I think. You got Broughton, the freshman tight end that's coming in as well. So you've got options now. And I think if you add one or two, ideally two, assuming you keep the other guys, I think that's a room that can make sense. I think you get an older tight end and you get a younger tight end to kind of backfill some of the losses that you've had over the last few years. So there we go. There we go. That's your news for the day. Busy day. Busy day for a Monday. Let me get to the chat, answer some of y'all's questions, or react to some of y'all's comments. KC, too dope. This staff is pretty elite, if you ask me. Alex Golesh is a go-getter for sure. Sounds like when you work for Alex Golesh, something I was told is the expectation when you work for Alex Golesh is for you to get into the office at 5 a.m. and you do not leave until midnight. That is the expectation. And so who did he go out and get? He either got young guys who are on their way up, right? Cody Burns, Coach DVD from Miami, like these young guys who are former players. They understand the grind. They want to work hard. They want to climb the coaching ranks and say, hey, I'm not just this, young hotshot recruiter position coach. I want to climb the ranks and be a part of an elite coaching staff. So I love that. And then you've got so many guys on this coaching staff who have been head coaches previously, and nobody knows the grind of day-to-day in the SEC more than head coaches. There's a lot of experience on this staff, and it's a nice mix. As far as another young guy who's working his tail, Vontrell King-Williams, I mean, he might be the gem of this staff. He was the gem of this past staff, and that's why he stayed. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about this staff. I do have a few questions about it, but I do like it. I do like it a ton. I do like it a ton. Let's see here. Chris Pate asked, Chris, that is a massive fish. Chris, what kind of fish is that? Is that you? Is that your fish? Chris Pate asked, why can we not do at least 3-year contracts with these players? So the NIL stuff is so loosey-goosey now, but you used to not be able to do like contracts that are performance-based. And I'm with you. There was some legal finding I don't know if it was months ago or years ago at this point, but there were some, I'm with you. I think the standard should be you sign a 2-year contract when you come out of high school. And then you can do whatever. You can either re-sign a 2-year deal, or you can go and sign a 1-year deal somewhere else, or a 1-year deal with your own school or whatever. I do think contracts would fix a ton of this. And Chris is confirming that was him with the fish, and it's a king salmon. That's insane. Well done, Chris. Well done. They need you on the recruiting trail if you're going to catch fish that big. That's insane. That's insane. Silas asking, with DJ Lagway entering the portal, it'd be wild if he ends up at Baylor. Just imagine between him and Byron Brown if we get Byron. So I was a little surprised when I saw the DJ Lagway report. Not that he was entering the portal. That wasn't surprising. But that Baylor was an early potential destination for him. I was surprised by that. I would have thought that DJ would have thought maybe the Big 12 was beneath him. I think the fit would make sense. And I haven't followed Baylor close as I should have, especially since Auburn opens against them in Atlanta this year. But I'm assuming they kept their offense. So that it could be a fit for sure. When I saw that, my immediate thought went to, okay, I think Auburn hosting Florida in their 3rd game of the season is the most important game right now. Things can change, storylines can get vamped up and all that. But right now, that game is crucial. And DJ Lagway leaving Florida makes that game more winnable, which is great for Auburn. Liam McGriff, do you think we go after quarterback? Yes or no? Yes. No, I've said multiple times, like I think Byron Brown ends up as an Auburn Tiger. The way you worded that made me think that you just want a yes or no answer. So I guess that's it. Liam says okay. All right. Josh says, I've watched hours of Byron Brown's film and I can say this now with confidence. If Deuce learns this offensive scheme by spring, he will beat out Byron Brown. Byron Brown's thing is production. Does he nail every throw? No, he does not. He does not. But you can't argue against his production. And that's what wins. That's what wins. So we'll see. I'd love the opportunity to watch him compete. Gosh, what a perfect scenario for Auburn. If they can keep Deuce and get a guy like Byron Brown in the portal, what a perfect situation for everyone involved. For everyone involved. Marcus asking if we are still looking for running backs. And I don't know the answer to that. Some of that probably depends on which running backs stay and go. If no one leaves, I can't imagine they're too eager to add one. I mean, I think I think Omar Mabson fits this scheme to a T. I think Jeremiah Cobb could be an awesome change of pace guy in this. They're going to run the ball more next year, and I think Cobb's tremendous. And I don't want to take anything away from Jeremiah Cobb, but I do have questions about durability. So that's going to be interesting. Also, for what it's worth, I've heard that the staff likes Alvin Henderson more than the previous one did. So take that for what it's worth. Take that for what it's worth. Surprised this took so long. What are we hearing about Cam Coleman? I think other schools in the SEC want Cam Coleman. I've been pretty consistent with it. If I had to guess, I would say that it's close. It's close to 50%, but I would say that there's a higher percent chance that Cam Coleman plays at Auburn versus any other school next year. Is it 55 to 60%? Yeah, I guess close. It's close to 50-50. But I do think when it's all said and done, Cam Coleman stays at Auburn. That is my prediction right now. And if I hear more, I'll let you guys know. All right. Awesome, guys. Thanks. This was fun. Impromptu live show. We got one more quarterback question and we'll wrap up. If you could choose your starting quarterback, who would you choose? Deuce, Daniels, or Byron Brown? I mean, if it's up to me, I want a battle between Deuce and Byron Brown. I would not, in that list, I would not consider Ashton in there. I think Deuce would make sense from a first-year head coach building for the future point of view. Like, let's lay a solid foundation and then go into year 2 with our guy. Deuce would be an upperclassman at that point. But I don't think that's how Alex Golesh is going to approach this. I think Alex Golesh is going to approach this as how many games can I win year 1? And right now, I would say Byram gives you a better chance of winning more games than Deuce. But I have, I may change my mind on that. That's where I've been right now. All right, cool. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Thank y'all so much. Please like the video. Please subscribe. If you're tuned in on audio, please leave us a review. Helps the show out a ton. And we'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.